Here you go. Reopening the economy and risking grandma versus guillotining billionaires and using their assets to let people stay alive. The core difference is not actually our strategy or any real politics. The key difference is the difference between ordering a sailor into a deadly radiation zone to certain death and sending a soldier into combat where they might be killed. They are willing to send regiments of grandmas into the Somme, but to identify and disenfranchise one person, well, that's a tragedy. That's a face in person, and you can defend them. Rolling the dice allows the convenient self-delusion that the grandmas who rolled dice better were the ones best suited to survival. The belief that there's some justice to a virus. And while the 5G conspiracists are at least using some correlation to make a workable theory, they're at least conflating physical science and imparting a malicious motivation to people in power. Imagining whole cloth that a collection of proteins created by Mother Nature via an infinite number of bats shitting on apples or whatever, that's somehow endowed with the power of moral determination is stupid in the extreme. But that's modern conservatism. No one ever asked me, what are your politics, Van Velding? Because I'm gay, and I vote for the party here in the US that opposes torturing young gay people to make them straight. I do this on the sneaking suspicion that the other party would court my support and shake my hand for exactly as long as it takes them to get enough power to pitch my adorable gay dick over a fence and straight into the pens. Despite that, my answer is that I am a conservative. I'm just the last fucking sane one left. Everyone to the right of me is goddamn insane, and you all need to stop them like post-haste, and I will worry about maybe getting accidentally thrown into the asylum myself the minute you guys get up and begin stopping them with half the energy they are using to make those suspicious pins and make grandmas roll dice. This is Morning Perfect Base, and I am Van Velding. I'm going to work on my perfect base a little bit at random time intervals, and after a couple of those, we are going to see how much progress I have made. Today, I am going to do some prep work on my armory, just trying to clear out some of the stuff. You can see I am still suffering from some of the frame rate issues that have been plaguing me lately with my recording software / computer. I don't know what to tell you. I expose myself to so many different pieces of news and information each day that it is hard to sort it all out. I build it up, I fave it, I save it, I pocket it, I bookmark it. I want to give all of it a deep, meaningful look, the kind of look that it deserves. But that is not reasonable, though. I mean, obviously, even the peripheral stuff you're exposed to each day is too much to critically expose yourself to. If you are on the internet for half as much as I am, you cannot intelligently, consistently, conscientiously process everything you're exposed to. You can't. You can take a lot of stupid shit at face value, but you cannot ethically consume it. But you're not a monster. You can't not care either, because not caring would make you the type of person who does not care about that kind of thing. There are a lot of folks who use cynicism as a ward against the responsibility of being informed about too many things. And the pressure to be informed and to have an opinion is no less potential bad for the pressure to buy things and to watch certain shows or to be accepted by peers. You don't have to adopt a philosophy of not caring or to diminish the responsibility of objectively important things to understand that you do not need to care about, this thing right now. And for someone who talks so much about the dangers of implicit values and moral priorities, I do so. Shut up. Being able to filter information so that you can interact with that information effectively is a natural extension, or maybe a literal implementation of creating that explicit set of moral priorities. A great example of this is my Tumblr likes. Tumblr, as you may know, is a social media site which is interested in social justice. For those of you experiencing these words in the far-flung future, perhaps as an archaeological artifact, the link between social media and social justice is quite the opposite than their similar wording might indicate. The social in social media comes from being sociable and wanting to share inanities with other people, and the social in social justice comes from the society part of we live in a society, which naturally means that all social justice movements were created after the 2019 film Joker, and only a very stupid archaeologist would believe otherwise. So my Tumblr likes are some sincere posts that I like, some posts that I would have reposted if my blogging plugins were working correctly or my queue wasn't full, and a lot of posts that I'd like to open up and get into. It's mostly that last category, and there are over slightly less than 10,000 of those. My reasonable solution is to do like a tournament so big and vast that I will never get to round 2. I just wouldn't. Even with a 10-way battle each week among 8 or 10,000 posts, that's still some 800 weeks of posts. If I cut away 100 posts a week and only throw 10 into the fire, that is still 80 weeks. That's too much, man. So my first post is about all of the things OP thinks we'll learn from the coronavirus. How important healthcare is. How important healthcare for other people is to our own safety. How valuable the workers we usually malign are. How pivotal teachers are, not just for education, but for constant guidance and care, like real emotional care for children. And we're not. Without giving undue weight to small crowds of idiots falling for coordinated Facebook protests organized by malicious, wealthy jackasses, we're still clamoring for a return to normalcy, not any great systemic changes. I would submit to you as a premise that when things are good, no one wants change. When things are bad, people want them to go back to being good. People only want radical change when they have nothing left to lose. As I say this, after writing, I would like to note that we are currently having massive protests across the United States against police brutality again. But the coronavirus is just bad. And it shows us the sharp contrast between how bad the coronavirus is and how truly bad some people in some communities in America have it. Because if it's just the coronavirus, we're still clamoring to return to normal. Some folks are starting to see the need for the kind of radical change necessary to get ahead. The radical changes we need. You know, because COVID-19 is just a taste. I don't mean the police shootings and the unrest from centuries of racial discrimination and, quite frankly, wanton murder by people in authorities with no consequences. What I mean is climate change. And I would say that if you want radical change, COVID-19 is a time to prepare. The unrest we're having right now should be a wake-up call to prepare. This post is getting chucked, but maybe the takeaway is actual preparation via communication and identification of threats is a good idea. Next. Oh, okay, so, alright. Ahsoka Tano, the Jedi from the Clone Wars CGI series who was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, also is one of the best things to ever come out of any Star Wars in the past fucking 20 years. Apparently she was George Lucas's idea? Like, this is shocking to me. I mean, I admit this is, as a topic, a little insubstantial next to none of us are scared enough to implement changes that coronavirus shows are necessary. And in fact, some of us have entered deep denial to avoid learning those lessons because they come at some minor economic cost to us. But a good one, pass. This one's about Ireland. During the Great Famine in Ireland, the Choctaw Nation in the U.S. got together somewhere around $170, about $5,000 adjusted for inflation, and sent it to help. And now this is 1847, the height of the Great Famine. Also 14 years after the last wave of the Choctaw Trail of Tears. I mean, they kept pressuring Choctaw out of Mississippi until like a long time after. So there's not even really like a hard end to the Trail of Tears. But it wasn't too long ago that the Choctaw had to leave their land and homes and start over in Oklahoma, of all fucking places. But they get together some money and they send it to Ireland because they see, as I understand it, a kindred spirit. So now, while coronavirus is affecting the Choctaw community, who has, the federal government's response to help them, which is a whole deal, but approximately 20,000 Irish folks have donated $700,000 to help them with their COVID response. And when I say it's a whole deal, what I mean is, when the government's financial assistance to Native American communities was held up because it was going to be sent to actual Native American communities in need, but also Alaskan Native corporations, which aren't really communities at all, folks sued and no one got money. So communities had to get resources wherever. That's looking good. It's coming along pretty well. So communities had to get resources from wherever they could. And when a county health department responded to a request for COVID tests with body bags, I mean, it was symbolic of the whole botched exercise, a whole deal. And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, who sued? How much money? Who has standing for a suit like that? Could Alaskan Native American corporations just be a different form of Alaskan Native American communities? What about the Kindred Spirits sculpture in Cork, Ireland? Why are the Hopi and Navajo linked in this post? The Navajo were allegedly also involved in giving the initial money, but I don't even know where the Hopi came in. The guys who got body bags were in Washington, so I don't even think that they were any of the same guys. Also, some Canadian Native Americans got body bags in a response to a request for medical assistance some years ago. That's a hell of a coincidence. You can dive so deep in these things, but everyone is so deep, even the Ashoka thing. This one's about schools. Boo, schools. Lisa Jacob, who played the daughter in Miss Doubtfire, the 1993 comedy about a divorced man pretending to be an elderly woman to circumvent court orders regarding child custody. Actually, in retrospect, yikes. So anyway, this girl actor, she was expelled for missing days of class for the shooting of the film. I'd like to talk about how Hollywood should never have child actors, but I will skip that for now. So Robin Williams wrote a letter to the school asking them not to do that because the life experience of making a movie is valuable and could be shared with their school. The kids should aspire to do things and be encouraged argument. So not only does the school not let her back in, they frame the letter from Robin Williams and put it on their wall. I mean, damn, son. That is some big, you are on our celebrity wall, but we do not grant you the rank of person worthy of respect energy. Consider the idea of getting secondhand good stuff over a letter from Robin Williams. Imagine that, as cringeworthy as it is. It requires believing, or believing that others believe, that there is some value in the association. Slim association. A letter from the desk of, in terms of thickness. Association with Robin Williams. The premise is that a letter from Robin Williams is worth putting on your wall. It's not even Robin Williams being funny. It's not even Robin Williams acting. It is not even a video of Robin Williams neither acting nor being funny. There is nothing of Robin Williams in it. Maybe the signature. I loathe autographs, but a signature is like an autograph that happens by accident. Holding up a letter from a celebrity and treating it like an autograph is like if you stole the signature from its family and raised it from childhood to believe it was an autograph and put it in a pen and charged people of the villages to see it while you travel the countryside with your marvelous traveling show. What I'm saying is that it is an empty, faint flag representing an association with Robin Williams, but the actions which underlie it fail to recognize the virtue. I often lament, to myself while drunk and furiously pacing, that so many people in this world are so upset about things they will never do anything about. We all feel bad when people are sad, and we're all cured of that bad feeling as soon as they begin doing the thing that made them sad again. I have no empathy for people who suffer without action. What can I say? I was raised conservative. Now, we all get that there are exceptions. Someone doing something worthwhile and failing because that's what life is like, and being hurt because of failure, and still doing that worthwhile thing because it's worthwhile, is the kind of person you want to support. Obviously, there are exceptions. No 10 words will contain a holistic moral principle. Thanks, pedants. And by thanks, I mean you can all go back to throwing trivia at thanking people who can construct ideas and articulate them while contributing nothing original of yourselves. There's this frustrating discontinuity between qualifying Robin Williams' suggestion to ask and the unqualified elevation of the physical manifestation of his suggestion. It's idolatry. What does it even mean to ascribe someone enough status to mount their signature posing as an autograph on the wall if you don't give them enough status to let a child go to school because they were working? Something that you don't need an email from Jonah Hill for or a tweet from Khloe Kardashian to do. It's irrational enough that we confer actors some kind of status because they're actors. And yeah, maybe there's some deep insight there about humans affiliating with things that we recognize absent any reality. And maybe when I bemoan a culture that exalts people as trophies and seeks symbols of contact, rather than attempting to evoke any of these values that make them, hypothetically even, worth exalting. Idolatry is a no-no for, well, I guess Christianity, I guess. I don't know how other religions feel about idolatry. It's a bit beyond the scope, honestly. Let me know and just shoot me the sources. The values are hard. The values are insubstantial. The values are what force us to forego our own needs, our own good, our own pleasure for something higher. Values demand something from us, but symbols do not. We can buy symbols, motherfucker. And yes, this speech was mostly written before I caught that new episode of Rick and Morty. Fucking Dan steals my ideas, but also put them in a good story and produces the episode, and that's why he gets to drink at work, Harmon. It's emblematic to me to look at something from Robin Williams and say, wow, it's so great that I got this thing from a guy who usually plays guys who break the rules, but they do so for a good reason. They also work hard to be a success like I hope my students do, and took an unconventional road to having a stable life, and is liked by the nation for his compassion and empathy and zeal for life. Clearly, I do not need to listen to him, but I do need to let people know that he wrote me. It's not that it's baffling, it's that it's not baffling. I feel like I really went down the rabbit hole in that last one. You know, like, there are so many great things to say about all of these bits. I wish that I could just collect them together. Like, a tournament is obviously a joke, but I wish I could gather them together and just, like, figure out which one of them have strands that I can pull, you know, and weave together. And then I can come back to it for a whole episode and just hit all these bases and hit all the nooks and the crannies instead of just doing a flyover. But, you know, the thing about the Native Americans, that's just a factoid. That's just trivia. Like, oh, that's so cool. Like, how do you build on the trivia? How do you link it to something? You know, like, I can talk about screwed up values all day long, and I think it's almost too broad a topic. You know, what can we walk away from this with? You know, people have screwed up values. People will respect folks and then not listen to them. And, you know, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the, you know, I can respect you and I can listen to your opinion without doing what you're asking me to do. Like, I think that's really important, like, as a life lesson. But how do you say, I'm listening to you, and then I'm also not going to do what you're suggesting? Like, how do you do that? One time, maybe. You can be credible 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. You know, it's like you're flipping a coin, and it just happens to land tails every single time. I don't know. Maybe there's a larger topic to unfurl in there. We'll see. We'll see you later. Until then, keep learning, keep asking questions.